Greetings and welcome to Weekly Update Wednesdays. My name is JD from Studio 2105. With information so readily and easily available on the internet, why are folks still confused about which sampling rates to use for streaming? Is it 44.1? Is it 48K or more? So let's go over one of the most common misconceptions in this video and which sampling rate I prefer to use in my projects. Question 1. What sample rate do you prefer using? I use both 48 kHz and 44.1 kHz, but I notice a lot of major artists use 44.1 kHz for streaming sites like Apple Music. Is there an advantage to 44.1 over 48? Firstly, where are you getting your information? A quick Google search will quickly tell you, right, that most digital service providers recommend that you upload the highest possible quality file. This means that 24-bit is always preferable over 16-bit, and the sampling rate should be the highest sampling rate that you use in your project. It means if you record in 48, you should be using 48. There's no reason for you to downsample it down to 44.1. The only website, the only provider which still requires 16-bit 44.1 kHz, as far as to my knowledge, is CD Baby. But I think, they've really fallen way behind the curve, because everyone else, the other popular distributors such as TuneCore, DistroKid, Believe, etc., all have been accepting high resolution files for quite some time now. Okay, it's not a recent thing. It could be as far back as half a decade already. 16-bit 44.1 kHz is the Red Book standard that was defined by Philips and Sony, who are the co-inventors of the compact disc, the CD. And this is ratified by the International Electrotechnical Commission, or the IEC for short. It was a standard that was published back in 1980. That's over 40 years ago. So why are some folks still adhering to a decades-old standard when high-resolution 24-bit audio has been demonstrated to have far superior audio quality, You want to find a little bit more? I did a video, talking about the basics of digital audio right here. And where did you get the notion that most major artists use 44.1 kHz for Apple Music? Once again, you do a quick search on the iTunes, the video and the audio asset guide clearly show you what the audio requirements are. Yes, 44.1 is the minimum, but it does not exclude the fact that you can upload 48K, 96, 88.1 and so on and so forth. In fact, for immersive audio, now instance, for example, for Apple Spatial Audio, which actually is Dolby Atmos, the minimum audio requirement for that is 24-bit 48 kHz already, That's already the minimum. Now, I'm just speculating here, but sometimes these questions prop up, like how I discovered when I work with artists who record from home. Nothing against that, once again, But one thing I noticed is that quite a lot of them aren't even aware of such a thing as sampling rate and your bit depth. You just buy a microphone, buy an audio interface, get the software, plug it in, without even reading the manual or even checking the settings, okay? Quite a number of times, they don't even realize that they recorded it in 16-bit until they send the files over and then you realize. And by that time, it's already too late because it's already been recorded at 16-bit. Now, if you want to learn how to record at home, I do highly encourage that you please take the time, to educate yourself a little bit more on things such as the basics, of audio engineering, such as digital audio, signal flow. At the very least, these few things, okay? If you care about your craft, I believe that you should also put in that amount of time and effort to learn more about it. Question 2. I recorded and mixed 10 songs with different setups. Most were recorded at 24-bit 48 kHz, but a few were recorded at 24-bit 44.1 kilohertz. I want to have all the tracks professionally mastered to make an album for streaming platforms. Should I ask the mastering engineer to make it all at 2444.1 or 2448? This is a great mastering and related question. So the general opinion of most mastering engineers, right, is that you retain the project at the highest quality as possible, right? That's the general consensus. So it means that if the majority of the songs in your album were recorded at 24-bit 48K, it would make sense to master the entire album at that sample rate and simply just resample, do a sample rate conversion, and upsample the songs that were 44.1 to 48 kilohertz. Granted, upsampling from 44.1 to a high sample rate, for example 48K in this instance, is not going to improve the sonic quality, okay? That's another common misconception sometimes when you talk about upsampling, sampling rates. But it doesn't make sense to me, on the other hand, to degrade the quality of the entire album just to match, right, the lower sampling rate. Doesn't make sense to me. So it makes more sense to upsample the couple of songs that were done at the lower sampling rate and upsample it to match the rest of the album. Now, in fact, I know of some mastering engineers who will also recapture the audio, right? Usually they run some kind of a hybrid setup, feed the audio out and recapture it back at 96K. And the reason for doing this is that this is more for archival and for future proofing, right? The audio files. For instance, whenever new formats, right, in the future come out. And so having the master files at a ultra high resolution like 96K and above will be beneficial. And I also believe that it's also a requirement nowadays, right, for major label related projects. You gotta deliver, right, your files at, right, 96K. Once again, like, streaming sites nowadays accept high resolution files. There's no reason to be still recording and submitting, right, 16-bit resolution audio files. Now, on the other hand, the debate about 44.1 versus 48K, right, something that I have discussed in an earlier video. So, right, I do recommend checking that out. Now, personally, I hear a slightly better stereo imaging at 48K compared with 44.1, although the difference is subtle. And to be honest, to the average listener, there's going to be not a noticeable difference at all. Without getting into a debate over which is better, whether 44.1 or 48K, it really isn't that big of a deal, okay? The music in the end is more important. But here's the biggest benefit of working in 48K is that, right, 48K has actually been the standard for video for a very, very long time. In this day and age, right, where video content is king, right, almost every song that we do comes with an associated music video. There's a lot of music that's being done for film, for TV, for animation. It makes sense nowadays from a workflow perspective to work in 48K, start recording at 48 kilohertz, and this is to avoid any unnecessary sample rate conversions down the line, because we know that, right, that depending on the type of software that you're using, or depending on the type of maybe even the video editors, right, the linear video editors that video editors use, sometimes if you're not very careful with things like your sample rate, not very careful with things like your frame rate and stuff like that, right, you can run into synchronization issues, right, when you work with both audio and video content. So there you have it. Hopefully that clears up a little bit of the confusion, right? Whatever you're going to be delivering for your streaming platforms, you can deliver in high resolution audio nowadays, and it is highly encouraged. It is, right, highly recommended as well. Same thing goes with video, right? A lot of music, right, is done nowadays in support of videos. So that is one of the main reasons why I prefer to work in 48 kilohertz. So thanks for watching again, right? If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I really, really appreciate it. Consider becoming a patron, right? Check out also the Command Plus As Apparel affiliate link that I have, right? They make cool gear for audio engineers, right? And they ship worldwide, right? Use the code Studio2105 for 10% off. I'll see you in another video real soon. Peace, love, and music.